So welcome everybody. We are in week 11 already. It goes really fast, don't you think? Week 11 of a total of 16 weeks. So it's only 5 weeks left to go before we finish. And today we will go back to DNA. So I told you that we would go back to DNA. We are going to see a lot of things that you already know, but we will approach it in a different angle, okay? And as you can see on my background, it will be more focused on the chromosomes today. And this lesson is really important because remember we did this activity about cancer, which we didn't complete. And to understand cancer well, you have to understand this first. And secondly, this is also very important for inheritance, to understand inheritance. So this lesson is basically a revision of DNA, what we have already done. And secondly, it goes in a little bit more depth about certain things we need to know to understand cancer and inheritance. Okay, so pay attention. So that's what we will do today. I will share a presentation with you. We're going to talk about the presentation, and then we will do some small exercises together just to see if you understood everything. And they're nice. They're looking at karyotypes, and what you see behind me, in fact, that's also a karyotype. Then what I also want to tell you is that tomorrow we will do a small quiz about a review quiz to see how much you understood of mitosis and meiosis. Today we will review little things about mitosis and meiosis as well, so you will be prepared for tomorrow. And then on Friday you will have a small review quiz about the content of this week, okay? Which is basically the main content is the one of today, okay? So we always do small quizzes. It's good to know, understand everything or not. Cecia, you said something?
Teacher, yes, it's because Adrian is telling me that, well, it tells that it's having issues, problems.
Okay, don't worry. We can wait a little bit more. I've detected it already. We can wait a little bit more. If he connects, I will not put him falta. So let's go to the presentation I have for you for today. And like I said, we will first review some concepts that you know. Okay, so let's have a look at this. The DNA and its structure. You all know that DNA is in the nucleus, okay? And look at this image here below. So this is a cell that is clearly dividing. So if we look at the second image and the third image and the fourth image, in which phase is this cell? This is of last week. So,
interface?
No, not interface, because it's dividing.
It's mitosis.
Oh, it's mitosis.
This one is in mitosis.
The last one is cytokinesis.
Yeah, exactly, mitosis. And here, this one and this one is basically the cytokinesis, in which the cell is splitting into two daughter cells. Okay, that's what mitosis is about. We have seen the phases last week, and this is called asexual reproduction. Okay, you get two identical cells as the first one. They are clones. Of course, they're still a little bit smaller because they still have to grow, but they're genetically identical. Okay, let's review DNA quickly again. DNA is deoxyribonucleic acid, you know that, and it's built of a double helix, and it's made out of nucleotides, and those nucleotides have bases, and those bases are A, T, G, and C. And we also have seen that A pairs with T and G pairs with C. So adenine pairs with thymine and guanine pairs with thymine. Okay, this is the DNA, the structure. We will see a nice video about it tomorrow or on Friday. I don't know yet how I will do it. But it doesn't matter. I just want to make it nice for both lessons. And that DNA that we see here is organized in chromosomes. Okay, the chromosomes is this shape, which will be really the topic of today, okay? But we go in more detail in a moment. And DNA has genes, and genes, if you take a thread of DNA, a specific section of this strand that codes for a certain protein, this is a gene. A human has between 3,000 and 5,000 genes, more or less, and each gene codifies for a different kind of protein. Okay. So have a closer look at DNA. Here you have the double helix. You know T pairs with A, C pairs with G. And here, that you don't do it wrong in the quiz anymore, because some of you did, I think. Nucleotide is basically the phosphate, the base, there's Adrian, the base, and the sugar, the three of them together. So sugar is deoxyribulose. The base is the adenine, guanine, thymine, and cytosine, and the phosphate is like the chain of the ladder, you know, it connects all those different nucleotides together. So a nucleotide has these three parts, okay? Then we also saw that cells, when they divide, that they do mitosis, okay? You get two identical copies. And also we have seen that certain cells, they specialize in structure and function. If you think about the cell cycle, what are we talking about? If you have the cell cycle and you have a cell specialized in structure and function, in which phase is this cell?
G0.
G0.
Exactly, you get that. So a differentiated cell is indeed in the G0 phase of the cell cycle. I'm not going to review the cell cycle today, but here in the presentation you have the whole cell cycle explained, if that's of your interest. Okay, you can back it up with other things. Okay, so here it is, but I'll share that with you. Today we're going to focus on the chromosomes. Okay, so guys, this is a very important slide, because really don't mix up the two things. Okay, we have seen mitosis and we have seen meiosis. Okay, mitosis is what all your cells in your body do. It's in order to grow, it's in order to repair damaged cells, it's important to replace old cells as well. That's mitosis. Okay, you get clones, you get mitotic cell division, and it's asexual reproduction, and you make clones. Then we have also seen sexual reproduction, and this sexual reproduction, we call that meiosis or meiotic cell division. And where was this happening?
In reproduction?
In gametes and
Gamete
egg
cells.
Very good, Vera Sofia and Ana Sofia, in the gametes. And the gametes for girls are their egg cells, yeah, their ovulus. And for the boys, it's their sperm cells. So basically, meiosis in a boy is happening in the testicles, and in a girl, the meiosis is happening in the ovaries, okay? There were two special things about meiosis, okay? First and all, what was the special thing about meiosis and the amount of DNA? So if meiosis happens, what happens with the DNA, the amount of DNA?
Splits in half.
Exactly. You have only half the amount of DNA than any other cell. And that's important, because that's exactly what sexual reproduction is all about. You give your half, and then your boyfriend or your future husband gives the other half, and that's how you make a new individual. Okay. And then meiosis had another important thing, and we have seen that meiosis basically was doing mitosis twice. It looks very, very similar, but we call it meiosis 1 and meiosis 2. And in meiosis 1, in the prophase of meiosis 1, something special was happening. How was that called?
It's crossing over.
Crossing over.
Yes, very good, crossing over. And crossing over is interchanging genetic material. So it means that from one chromosome, DNA jumps to the other chromosome and they just switch. So Amelia gives an arm to me and I give an arm to her, if we would become chromosomes. That's crossing over. That doesn't happen in mitosis. That only happens in meiosis. And the reason why that happens is to create genetic variability. How many people are alive today on planet Earth? What's the world population?
Like 7 billion or something?
Yes, 7.8 billion to be precise. 7.8 billion people we have on planet Earth. None of those 7.8 billion people, except for identical twins, sorry, except for identical twins, none person in the world has the identical DNA with somebody else. We're all unique. Everybody is unique. And why are we unique? because every sperm cell is different, every egg cell is different, and the combination of both is even more different. And that's why we create such an amount of the diverse people, that of those 7.8 billion people, we are all different. Does somebody have an idea how many people have lived since the beginning of times until now on planet Earth?
No.
Just guess, just guess. Somebody knows?
Like trillions?
No, 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 no. It's way too much, Anapau. In fact, maybe the number surprises you. It's only about 100 billion. Okay. So if we, okay, we're a little bit less than 10 billion, but let's say we're 10 billion, you could say that about 10 or 8% of all the people that have ever lived on planet Earth, they're still alive today. So 90% died and 10% is still alive. So that gives you an impression of how many we are today. And that gives you an idea of how unsustainable and how worried we should be about this, because this is really something that never happened before. And sometimes they say like, yeah, but they have been saying this all the time, but this is not true, because have never been in this situation like this before. There is seriously too many people on planet Earth, and it's gonna create problems in our lifetimes. I hate to say it, but it's not really good, but we will come back to that in a moment. Okay, so that's what meiosis is about. Okay. Guys, what you see here in this picture is cell division based on mitosis, but it's not exactly mitosis as we have seen it, because we're looking here at also prokaryotic cells, because these are bacteria. This is a single cell organism, which is called paramecium, and we have some other organisms here that reproduce asexually. But mitosis is basically the same. That's why I show it. And mitosis, if you think that it's like a prokaryotic mitosis, what bacteria do, they divide. And in fact, all bacteria, they're identical. That's why we have antibiotics. And if you give somebody antibiotics, all the bacteria die with the antibiotics, and you get cured. It's in fact very good news for us that bacteria don't reproduce sexually, because then human life would not be possible on planet Earth, because we would need an individual medicine for each bacteria, which is of course impossible to do. But of course, we all know that bacteria, they can also have genetic mutations, and they can also change throughout history, and they become more and more difficult to treat. And you have all heard of MSRA, which is methionine-resistant bacteria. This is a kind of bacteria that are resistant against antibiotics we have today, because they evolved. Here you can also see some eukaryotic cells that divide asexually. It's like one kind of tree that divides asexually. But of course, they might be a bit different regarding the environmental conditions. So asexual reproduction is happening everywhere on planet Earth. Basically, it's the vertebrates that usually have more this characteristic of sexual reproduction. So mammals, birds, fish, reptiles, amphibians. But we also, insects of course, they also have some sexual reproduction, but there are other organisms. In fact, the most life on Earth does asexual reproduction, if we look at algae, bacteria, and these kind of things. Okay, guys, we're gonna have a look at this slide. We have also seen that the DNA is wound up. You see here, this is zoomed in, and here we zoom out, and we zoom out, and we zoom out, and that's how a chromosome looks like. So a chromosome, like you see behind me and on this slide, it's not only DNA. We have seen that the DNA is wrapped on proteins, and those proteins, we call them histones. And it's necessary to wrap them on these proteins, because otherwise it's too messy. And we need this DNA to be really nicely organized, because if we don't, then it would be impossible to divide DNA in both mitosis and meiosis, in fact. Okay. So now we will introduce the chromosomes. Okay, and I want to show you a picture of chromosomes. Okay. So what you have to know about chromosomes is like they're like the DNA, which is like packed with histones, and that's what you can see here schematically. In the middle of the chromosome, we have something that we call the centromere. And the centromere is something important because remember that in mitosis, you have this mitotic spindle, and these chromosomes, they have to travel on top of those mitotic spindle. Well, it's the centromere that attaches to this spindle. So it's basically the little locomotive that sits on the railroad. And that's what, it's in fact the part of the chromosome which makes it possible for the chromosome to travel in the cell when it's splitting, okay? So this is how a chromosome normally looks like. When it's splitting, so the iconic X, the X shape of a chromosome, the iconic X shape, like you can see here, okay? This is in fact a very rare situation because you only see this when the DNA is splitting. So these X's, where will you see them in fact? Who knows? In which phase of mitosis will you see those X's?
Metaphase?
Yeah, in the end of the prophase and in the metaphase when it starts to split up. But normal, the chromosome would look like this if it's not split up yet. Okay. So here, this is a chromosome that is splitting up, and the centromere keeps the thing together. And when it splits up, we call that sister chromatides. And what you also see here, the bands with different kinds of colors you see, those are genes, okay? But there you see it says gene locus or gene loci in plural. In fact, it's exactly the same as a gene, but by calling it gene locus or gene loci, you refer to the position of the gene on the chromosome, because the chromosome, it has a P arm and a Q arm. Okay, you don't have to know that, but scientists, they use the locus position, which is like coordinates. So you would call it, this is gene P, no, you would say this is chromosome 8, chromosome 8 on the P arm, this is this arm, so 8P, and then a number with the coordinates, how far they are from the center away. So that's the coordinates, and that's what the gene loci is about. So it refers to location, in fact. It refers to the location of the gene on top of the chromosome. It's not too important for you, but I thought it was interesting for you to know. And then when the chromosome splits, then it looks like this. You have two chromosomes, okay? After the DNA replication, it looks like this. And when it's splitting in the mitosis, it would become like that, okay? Is this clear? Then what we have, I'm going to show it. What we have here, this is what we call a karyotype. And a karyotype is very, very important. You can see it also on my background because it's the nicest organization of human DNA we can possibly have. So we use these maps, which is karyotype, which is nicely ordered the chromosomes from 1 to 22. This is what we call 22 autosomes because they're identical. You have 2 of chromosome 1, 2 of chromosome 2, 2 of the chromosome 3. So we have 22 autosomes, like you can see here. 22 out of 23 pairs are called autosomes. And then we have 1 pair of sex chromosomes. And you all know that already from secondary school, I believe. A girl has
XX?
Yes, exactly. It has 2 X chromosomes as sex chromosomes, and a boy has an X and a Y. So if we look at this karyotype map, is this a boy or a girl?
A girl.
Girl.
It's definitely a girl because you see here the 2 X chromosomes. There is no doubt that this is a girl. Look at this map. It's with different colors because you can color the DNA, but we're not going to see that. But if you look at this chromosome map or karyotype, is this a boy or a girl?
A boy.
A boy.
A boy.
So guys, what you can clearly see, and I think it's important you notice, is how small the Y chromosome is, okay? So this tells us, if you compare those two, that a girl clearly has more DNA than a boy, okay? And do you know why that is?
Because we like are capable of creating life.
Yeah,
Well,
very good, Anna Pau. That's exactly the reason girls are more complex. You have organs that we don't have. You have a uterus, you have ovaries, you have trompas, you have fallopian tubes, you have a very complex hormonal system. All of this has to be coded in the DNA. Men, in that sense, are way more simple. We just produce sperm and that's it, you know, with one simple hormone. Testosterone is produced, but you have a whole amount, you girls have a whole amount of different kind of hormones that are finely tuned to regulate pregnancy, menstruation, all these kind of things. So all of that complexity has to be coded in the DNA, and that's what you get. That's why you need more DNA, okay? So that's a bit what I told, the karyotype, the homologues, okay? And we are diploid, okay? The haploid means you have only one chromosome, diploid means you have two chromosomes, okay? It's not that important. What I want to do now is have a look at a little exercise to see if you understand these karyotypes and why the exercise clearly shows us why it's so important to understand karyotypes and why they are so important for science, let's say. I worked a lot with karyotypes when I was doing my thesis about leukemia, because leukemia is very often chromosome 14 affected. Leukemia is blood cancer, and a lot of genes of the coding of the white blood cells and stuff is located on chromosome 14. So very, very often cancer is located, leukemia cancer is located in chromosome 14. I have a very nice cancer activity, but we have to do it presential, and I do it every year. And I don't know if we can do it now because the material is in tech, and yeah, we're online. Yeah, but I really like that a lot. But anyway, we will see if we ever go back. If not, we can still do it next semester, possibly. So guys, I want to have a look with you at different kind of karyotypes to finish our class, okay? And ask some questions about it to see if you understand, okay? So here we have karyotype number 1, okay? And I have some questions about it. How many autosomes are present in this karyotype?
$24.
Sorry?
In the whole thing, or
Yeah.
like just the first letter?
Yeah, how many autosomes are present? So autosomes are homologous chromosomes. So how many do we have?
Counting also the X and the Y.
No, because they're not equal. They're not the same. They're not homologous chromosomes. Autosomes are homologous chromosomes. So this is one autosome. It's a pair of autosomes.
22.
22, very good. Okay. So how many sex chromosomes are present in this one?
2.
2, yes. Is it a boy or a girl?
Boy.
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 Boy. Is there anything else you see in this karyotype? Do you see anything abnormal in this karyotype? Do you think this person is ill? That's what I really want to ask. Does this person has any genetical defects or something, or illnesses? I mean, you're not experts about this yet, but that's why we do this.
The NG's lines are shorter.
Sorry?
The DNGs are shorter on one side.
No. No, that's normal, dear. That's not, no. In fact, this person, I mean, it's a very simple karyotype. It doesn't show any details. I mean, if you look at this person looks perfectly healthy. There is nothing wrong with this person that we can detect with this fairly bad karyotype. It doesn't give us any details. So let's go to karyotype 2, because this one, it looks okay. It's a boy, which looks healthy. Maybe he has something, but according to this, it has no, he has no genetical defects or anything. Let's go to karyotype 2. Karyotype 2 is already a little bit more detailed, because you see here the barcode, the strands and stuff, okay? So let's ask the same things, okay? Is this person a boy or a girl?
Girl.
Girl.
The girl.
A boy. He has two X, right? Or
Oh, two X's is the girl. It's definitely a girl.
ah, yes, yes, yes. The girl is a girl. Sorry.
Okay. How many autosomes are there?
22.
22.
Okay, 22, yes. Because it's important, because if you take other animals, they don't have 22, they have different kind numbers. So this is definitely human, you know. Then my other question is, do you see anything abnormal in this karyotype? Do you think this person is genetically ill? Or does he have some kind of genetic syndrome or something, or not?
In the chromosome 3, it's like very different.
Yeah, it's a bit shorter, but I don't really see a big problem here, because you see the pattern is the same. It could be that it's just badly placed, you know? It doesn't seem that something is missing. Sometimes one chromosome can look bigger than the other one because it could be more down under the microscope. So if it's further away, you see it smaller, even that it's the same. So in fact, chromosome 3 is fine, and chromosome 1 also looks fine to me. And I know about this. I did my thesis about this, so it looks okay. But there is something, guys. There is something.
Chromosome 5, doesn't it have like an extra piece on the...
Yeah, it's not an extra piece. There is a piece missing on one chromosome, to be exactly here. So this indicates that there is something wrong. Well, this is a very rare syndrome, and it's called Cri-du-Chat syndrome. Who speaks French? Cri-du-Chat.
It
Cría de
has something to do
gato.
with a cat.
Cría de gato, very good. Yeah, it's the shouting cat syndrome. This is very rare. So we see here that the chromosome 5 is affected. And this girl, in fact, has a rare genetical disorder. And she's mentally retarded. So she is mentally not developed in the same way as a normal person would be. And that's why they call it Cri-du-Chat syndrome, because those people, they shout like a cat, you know. It's like a weird disorder that I don't want to imitate it. It's like a high-pitched cat sound. That's why they call it, because they have a small head. Their head is smaller, they have wider eyes. They're like severely handicapped people. It's very rare, but it's been discovered that this is due to this affected chromosome 5, in fact, which you see here, which is called Cri-du-Chat syndrome. Luckily, it's not very common. It's a very rare syndrome, but it's a serious one, because those people can never have a normal life, and that's all due to this little piece missing, in fact. Okay, so let's go to the next one, karyotype 3. Where is it? Karyotype 2. Here we have karyotype 3. Let's have a look at this one. Autosomes again. How many do we have?
22.
22.
Look carefully, there is something here.
There is
23.
There is an extra one on the 21.
On 21.
Okay, is this a boy or a girl?
a
Girl.
A girl.
Girl.
Girl. And this one you possibly know. What's her problem?
Down
Isn't
syndrome.
that Down syndrome?
Yes,
Chromosome.
exactly. She has trisomy 21, we call that. She has 3 times chromosome 21, which creates the Down syndrome, also called Mongolism. It's also characterized with mental retardation. It has like a special small skull, big eyes, big lips, and they're very simple in their behavior and their intelligence. And usually they have a shorter life expectancy as well. So any genetical syndrome creates very often a shorter lifespan, and that's also true for Mongolism or trisomy 23. I prefer the name trisomy 21, sorry, or Down syndrome, because Mongolism, you refer to the Mongols, and this is a country, so that I don't think it's really correct to use that term, even if it's still very commonly used. Let's have a look at karyotype number 4, guys. What do you see here?
she's missing one of the, like,
The X's
uh-huh.
or the Y. We don't know.
Okay. Let's first solve that, guys. Um, so is this in fact a girl or a boy then?
We don't know.
No, we do know.
A girl.
Yeah, it's a
A
girl.
girl because there's no
Girl.
Y on the bottom.
There is no Y. So in fact, this is called the Turner syndrome, guys. It's a syndrome in girls in which they have missing a chromosome X. Okay. It's a genetic disorder that happens in girls, and it creates many problems for the girls. Okay. The girls are very often a little bit shorter, and they don't have a good puberty. They very often have serious problems with organ development and other health problems. And it affects about one in a 2,000 persons, or one in a 2,500 persons. So it's not that common, but it creates very special symptoms, you know. They are very small, these girls. They don't develop correctly. They have skeletal problems. They have eye problems. They have sometimes weird positions of the ears. They have sometimes mental retardation. Also, they have like different sexual problems. Sometimes they are not fertile. So there is very diverse things happening with this Turner syndrome when you have an X chromosome missing. So it's again a very serious condition which you don't wish to for anybody. Let's have a look at the last one. What do we see here in karyotype 5?
An extra sex
It
chromosome.
has one extra.
Okay. So
Isn't that when they're considered, like when they let them choose their gender, as they're considered both, or
yeah,
not?
yeah, it's close to that. But let's first answer the question: is this a boy or girl?
A
A
boy.
Yeah,
Because it has a Y.
it's in fact a boy because there's a Y, but it's called the Klinefelter syndrome, and indeed there is a problem here because having little bit being between boy and girl, that's exactly what's happening, you know. So these persons are definitely very often infertile. So they have very small testicles or very badly functioning testicles. Very often you would see that these persons, these boys, when they are in puberty, that they would develop breasts like girls do. They often produce also hormones that girls do. That's why they call it 47XXY syndrome as well, not only the Klinefelter syndrome. They develop breasts, they have hormonal development, so very often they look very female as well because they have so much production of female hormone that's not supposed to be there. But they do have a penis, you know, they don't have a vagina. So it doesn't end there, guys. These persons, of course, aside from all those things they already have, they have a lot of hormonal problems and, of course, a lot of psychological problems as a consequence of this. And then the good thing, the positive thing about this Klinefelter syndrome is that, yeah, you can put them a little bit in the hermaphrodite thing, even that very often they just have a penis, even it's very often a small penis, but they have it. And the good thing about this is that they have a normal life expectancy, but very often they're infertile, and they're like men that look very, very female, in fact, and they might have some other problems as well. It really depends from person to person, you know, but it's a uncommon genetical disorder. And the problem with all those disorders, in fact, is that there is no treatment for them. Okay. That's why I wanted to show you these karyotypes, because I think it's really important that you see how much I just showed you 5, guys, okay, 5 karyotypes, but there is so many things we can see on those karyotypes. I did my thesis, like I said, about leukemia, cancer. So in my thesis, I had to puzzle, I had to look under the microscope, join them, the different kind of chromosomes together and investigate which chromosome is affected. It's really, really highly interesting. And the first thing you have to do is really difficult because out of 20 cells you have only one cells where you can see the chromosomes visible, because not all cells are in the mitotic phase, you know, so you have to select the correct cells already. In fact, I have some information from my thesis, but I didn't prepare it, but maybe I should show you the next lesson a little bit how I did that. I don't know if you have any questions about this course, because this is more or less what I wanted to tell for you today. There is maybe some other thing that I also told in the other group, and it's important to have sexual reproduction, especially in plants and humans as well, because it makes us stronger. It makes us possible to adapt to different situations we have. And it came to my mind that there is one kind of fruit that we completely destroyed the sexual reproduction. And in fact, if there would be certain disease on this plant, then it would mean that maybe we could extinguish all this fruit from the planet if it would be affected by some kind of weird plague. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about? Which fruit is the fruit we cannot reproduce sexually anymore? We can only reproduce it asexually?
Watermelon?
No. No, you can buy watermelons without seeds. They're genetically manipulated in Costco. I'm completely against this. I don't think you should invade in nature in such a way that your grapes and your watermelon doesn't have seeds anymore. I think it's completely ridiculous. But there is another fruit that never has seeds anymore. I mean, you can still see something, but they're not fertile. You eat it all. Yes, exactly. It's
Banana?
yeah. We have a big banana problem. If you don't believe it, Google it, and you'll see that that we have big problems with bananas, because all the bananas we eat, I'm not talking about platana macho algo, but all the bananas you get in the supermarket, they're in fact genetically identical to all the other ones. Okay, they're only different in taste because of the chemicals they use, the water they get, and the amount of sun they get, you know. But basically all bananas, they're just clones from each other, and that's a problem, because if one plant gets ill, all the plants get ill. All the plants get ill, and that will create problems in the future. And it's already creating problems, because it's the same is happening with genetic modified corn. Mexico had like the most beautiful and biggest variety of corn in the world, maize, you know. In United States, our green grow brothers, they manipulated it in such a way that their species is dominant over the Mexican species, and now yeah, they just don't grow as good anymore. So we had all, I mean, not we, your country had all kinds of colors. You had purple maize, you had red maize, green maize. It's really so important for Mexico, the maize that, or the corn that Mexico has. I mean, think about the Mayas, the Aztecs. Your whole country was originated on maize. Without maize or corn, Mexican civilization would have never happened as it did, you know. I don't know if you're aware of that. But now biodiversity is completely under threat and even in collapse. I mean, Mexico is losing varieties of corn at a stunning rate just because genetic manipulation of corn in the United States is invading the fields of the Mexican farmers, and they don't know what to do because the other one is stronger and the other one is dominant over their species, and you get biodiversity loss, in fact. And it's a big problem, guys. But anyway, that's a whole other topic. This is it for today. Don't forget about the quiz tomorrow. If you have no more questions, please go and eat.
I do have a question.
Go ahead, Ana Pao.
There was like 5 or I don't know how many activities on Canvas. Which one are we supposed to do?
What do you mean?
All of them? There was like open, let me check. There was the one of genetic basic concepts and double helix.
Okay, but I changed the dates already. With this one we will do tomorrow. The only thing I want you to do now is just focus on your quiz of mitosis and meiosis tomorrow, and this activity we will do it tomorrow and Friday. So as you can see, I think I changed the date already because we're not exactly according plan. So it should be fine. You don't have to do this activity for tomorrow. Let me check anyway. No, I changed it. It's for 23 of October. It's not now.
Okay.
Yeah, it's I changed it already last week. I changed the dates. The only thing that you're gonna do tomorrow is this this review questionnaire about cellular reproduction and this osmosis thing. What you also ask, this is I'm gonna cancel it because it takes too long, and I don't think we have the tools, not the time to do this thing. So this is not for us. I already removed it. So yeah, just focus. I think it's all fine. The dates until I think I corrected all the dates. So what you see is correct, and the activities that says the genetic basic concepts. This is for tomorrow and for Friday. Okay, and tomorrow you do the quiz about cellular reproduction review questionnaire, and then on Friday we do the genetic concepts quiz, and then we have two activities. One we will do in class, and the other one will be homework. Okay, so that's a little bit what I've planned.
Teacher,
Yes?
you will share the presentation of today, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Like in camera.
Yeah, of course I share it.
Okay, it's just like for me to do.
Yeah, I'll put it there immediately because otherwise sometimes I forget and then you have to ask me again. Hey, no quiero quedar mal. So yeah, I'll add it immediately, and that's it then. So we see each other tomorrow. Okay.
Thank you, teacher. Bye.
Welcome. Bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good day.
Thank you.